Hello and welcome to the Times of India. I am Sanjeev Singh. There's been a political controversy surrounding the statement of the Indian Army Chief, which was made yesterday at a seminar where he was talking about the population dynamics of the Northeast. So, what is it exactly that has created this controversy? To discuss more about it, I've got Sanjeev Shankaran of the Times of India, who covers political economy. Sanjeev, I think first we should just straight away go to what exactly the army chief said, and then we can take the conversation forward. So this is yesterday. He was speaking on a variety of issues, which basically about the Northeast, right. And this is what he had to say, which has made this entire controversy. Okay. Let's try and play it.
Area called the Northeast. What we I think need, to the air maintained battalion, we walked and finally reached the battalion headquarters. And as a commanding officer, when I reached there, the Gaon Buddha came, he received you with he had two horns on his head, he had a da, very, I would say, scantily dressed, and he came and received you and said, the way he was welcoming us, so we started talking in sign language. And I was asking him how many people are here and how do you. So it was all sign language that I was trying to speak to him. And exactly after 3-4 minutes, he asked me if Hindi aata hai ki nahi aata. So I told him aata hai. So he told me Hindi bolo. So Arunachal Pradesh, what I am trying to say, is one state which actually the state language is Hindi. So there has been an amalgamation that happened. It didn't happen elsewhere. But to say that these regions cannot be amalgamated with us, Arunachalis speak should Hindi, better Hindi than they don't call a school, they call it Vidyalaya. And that is the kind of Hindi they speak. So amalgamating these people with us is not a very complex problem. I think if we are able to identify the issues and move forward, we will get a solution. All I wish to say is I want to compliment Claus and Headquarter Ideas for having picked up a very contemporary topic, having thrown up some very good issues, and I'm sure the feedback that we will get, we will venture into it and not let, as I always said, not let this corridor in a longitudinal dimension from west to east, how we going to address it. It is a vulnerability, but it can be well taken care of. But the issue is, let us first identify the problems and adopt a step-by-step approach. I think a lot of good ideas have been put up today by all the panelists. It is the last session that I attended. Some of the issues have thrown up some challenges. We've got to look at it holistically. I think the government is now looking at the Northeast in correct perspective, and if that happens, time will not be far when we will be able to amalgamate this region, ensure development, and with development will come the control of the people who are residing in this area. I don't think you can now change the population dynamics of this area. If it was 5 districts to 8 to 9 that the inversion has taken place, whichever be the government, there is a party called AIUDF. If you look at it, they have grown in a faster time frame than the BJP grew over the years. When we talk about the Johnson with 2 members of parliament and where they reached, the AIUDF is moving at a faster pace in the state of Assam. Finally, what will be the state of Assam? We'll have to take a call, I think, but we have to understand, we've got to appreciate to live with all the people.
So there you have it, Sanjeev. He was basically talking about the population dynamics, and he happened to mention 2 parties, Badruddin Ajmal's party and, of course, the BJP. Your first reaction to that?
My first reaction is that that observation that he made should have been avoided. He was speaking in a public forum. He's speaking as a representative of the Indian Army. He's the chief of the Indian Army. So that's not the place to air your personal remarks or your general view, and particularly on political parties, because that's a sensitive subject. And as a representative of the Indian Army, he should have steered clear of any observation or comment about political parties or politics.
So you're saying it's a needless controversy. We're getting a lot of comments. Anyone who's just tuned in, please do send us your comments, what you think about what the Army Chief said, whether he was right or wrong, or whether he should have made these kind of comments. Hitendra Pandya says it's time all civilians must do 2 years of army service before joining any political post or position. I don't know what that has to do with this right now. Osborne says, don't get involved, as the last general who retired also joined BJP. Chandrika Dubey says, yes, 100%. He should have said it because the army has to bear the brunt of all the action taken. Iliad says maybe it's a retirement plan. Vadaraj says save India from immigrants. And Nazim says that these kind of statements are highly avoidable. So the reactions that started coming in, of course, he was talking about the AIUDF, that's Badruddin Ajmal's party. It's basically a party, regional party operating out of Assam. And this is what Badruddin Ajmal had to say. He said that he found the statement shocking. And why is it a concern for the army chief that a political party based on democratic and secular values is rising faster than BJP? He also makes a point, Sanjeev, that parties like AIUDF and AAP have grown because of the misgovernance of bigger parties.
Yeah, now let's just take what he said and compare it with what the army chief said. AIUDF is a registered Indian political party, which means that it swears by the constitution. It has to adhere to the laws from Representation of People's Act. Now, if the idea of democracy is that the voter is mature enough to choose who she or he wants as their representative. If AIUDF is doing well politically or in terms of electoral democracy, maybe it's bringing something to the table that the other parties are not bringing. So, to make a comparison between BJP and AIUDF, particularly when he's speaking as the chief of the army, is getting into an area which is completely unavoidable.
Okay, some more comments coming. We're getting a lot of comments. Acharya Vinayak says Rawat sir is right. Naushad says save India from fake nationals. Surya Mukhtar says army should stay away from politics. Vishnu Tripathi is saying that तुम बोलो भारत के टुकड़े होंगे वो ठीक और ये बोल दे तो issue. Ashok Kansal says as an army chief he has the responsibility to protect the country, and for this he has every right to keep his eyes and ears open for any abnormal developments.
Now, just to take that last point, AIUDF, like I said, is a registered political party. There are even the BJP was registered as a political party, if I'm not mistaken, only in 1980.
Yeah.
Right? It would have been very, very wrong for anyone in an institutional position in India to comment about them. And this is not a problem only with the army chief. Actually, the RBI governor, Mr. Urjit Patel, is also guilty of something similar, of making an indiscreet remark. Just after the union budget, he criticized a budget proposal on capital gains tax.
Okay.
He was, in my opinion, rightly criticized by some people for going into an area which he should not comment in his position as the RBI governor. And this is a similar problem. I mean, he, as an institutional head, he should not be getting into an area which is the domain of political parties, and it's not the same as a retired general commenting. I mean, they're private citizens or individual citizens.
Then, the army actually got into damage control and said that he has said nothing political. This is what they had to say, that he said that he implied that an influx of illegal Muslim migrants into the areas what has led to the growth of this party. So, amongst the comments also, Sanjeev, that we're getting, one major concern is the illegal migration that has happened to India over the past few years, which has actually changed the demography a bit in Assam, hasn't it?
It has. Certainly the demography of Assam has changed. But the problem here is you can vote only if you're a citizen of India. Right? That's the premise. I mean, you don't, somebody who's just walked in or walked across some border who's an illegal migrant does not get to vote. So if they have got the right to vote, then there's some vetting, something that must have been done that has given them that right. AIUDF, if it has grown, and even that on facts, I don't think, as one of our other slides will show, I don't think General Rawat is entirely right on facts. AIUDF is not necessarily growing, but a voter has cast his or her vote in AIUDF's favor for a very good reason, and we shouldn't sit in judgment on that.
But the problem arises when other people jump in. Now, you had Asaduddin Owaisi saying that, army chief should not interfere in political matters. So the basic question is, what Badruddin and Asaduddin are trying to say is that why should the army chief make these type of political comments?
And I think he's got a point. I would justify what Owaisi has said. You remember when Owaisi made a needless remark the other few days ago about the religion of soldiers killed in an attack on Kashmir, the army refuted what he said. They actually came out and said that the army does not distinguish their soldiers on the basis of their religion or caste, which is a very justifiable response from the army. And in the same way, this is a justifiable response from a politician that you're getting into an area that you should not be getting into.
Okay. You were talking about the fact that let's look at.
Yeah. In fact, if you notice that AI, they're not growing. They're actually shrinking.
So the vote share has actually gone down from 16% in 2009.
This was the election where BJP swept Assam. They did exceptionally well. The 2014 general election, you can see the AIUDF's vote share has gone down, and it hasn't done particularly well since then.
I'm surprised. How come they didn't do it in 2016? I thought from 2014 they would have gone up.
So maybe the voters are unhappy with the AIUDF. That's all. That's the only conclusion we can reach.
But there is a general apprehension amongst our viewers that about the sort of influx that has happened and how does it pose a security challenge to the nation?
See, influx and security challenge, I don't think should be linked with people who have the right to vote. You have to be an Indian citizen to have the right to vote, right? I mean, so General Grawat has conflated two unrelated issues. I mean, if you're an Indian citizen, that means you're not an illegal immigrant by definition, isn't it?
We've got some comments. Vishwabanga says all these politicians and anti-nationals should understand role of armed forces and know value of uniform. Vinay Singh says if this involves security of India, then I think it's absolutely fine for him to speak what he said. Anil Sonavane says diversion. Shonali Makan, it was a general comment and I do not understand why these politicians comment on armed forces when they are the ones getting maximum benefit. Rupan says, okay, he should not say what has not speaking done. There are so many illegal immigrants who are here.
So that we go back to the same point. If somebody is he actually talked about AIUDF growing as a political party, which means somebody is voting for them. If you have the right to vote, you're not an illegal immigrant. You're a citizen of India. Army chief certainly has the right to speak on, and he should speak on security issues. But I don't think citizens of India are posing a security problem in the context of what he just said.
Yeah, so in that sense, what the army chief has said, he has the right and he should, as Sanjeev said, he should be talking about security concerns. But the fact that drawing parallels to, a political party growing in stature or getting more votes is something that could have been avoided. Is that it?
Yeah, because that's an area that the head of the army should not be commenting on. I mean,
Is there any written rule, Sanjeev, or
not
is there a convention?
I think it's more of a convention.
Okay.
I don't think there is a written rule. To the best of my knowledge, they don't have a written rule on what they can and cannot speak on.
Okay.
But army chiefs traditionally do give press conferences or they do give interviews, and they steer clear of political matters. Convention, that has been the convention.
Some more comments coming in. Usha Shrivastava says, without any doubt, Army Chief is justified. Rupan says secularism is a myth. Anil again says borders and banks are not safe. Abdul is saying if Owaisi's comment on army is wrong, then how come RSS comments were right on the army, which they said. So, quite a mixed reaction. But Sanjeev, thank you so much for joining us on this debate. So, well, of course, we all understand the security challenges faced by the Indian Army and the hardships they face in securing our borders. But when it comes to talking about political parties, as Sanjeev said, they are registered political parties who have gone through the due process, after which people are allowed to go out and cast their vote in their favor. So it is generally believed because of the convention that a serving army chief should generally avoid making these type of controversial comments. It could have been avoided, but now that it's done, it's best to lay the controversy to rest. Thank you so much for watching the Times of India, but do stay tuned in for live updates.